Welcome to Connect Church Online. Man, excited about you being with us. We're going to be on part two of Back to Christmas. Our Christmas times are coming using Jacob. And so we're excited about this. And so let's go on back to Genesis chapter 34 and 35. Now, the Lord said, get up and go to Bethel. Now, last week we talked about for healing for hurts that have already happened. Man, there's a lot of things in our life, we can't fix them, we can't change them. There's a lot of things that's went on that we're not going to be able to change. And so what we need to do is try to go on from our past and go to where our second point is today, because a lot of things has happened in life, and sometimes it just gets discouraging. But let me tell you something. We are here for a purpose. God loves us, and we need His presence, okay? Not talking about a gift. Of course, He gives us gifts. Every good gift and every perfect gift comes from above. But we need the presence of God. And if we're not living in that, man, I'm telling you, we really need to get back to Bethel, back to the house of God, back to El Bethel, the God of the house of God. So here we are, not just for times and things that have happened in our past here, but for help in heavy traffic around Him and around us. Sometimes we just get in that traffic jam. Sometimes we get in that store where it's like crowded, and we get anxiety and we get all worked up in a situation. It just seems like, normally we can handle everything, but all of a sudden a bunch of things have happened at one time. And so when you begin to look at this in chapter 34, Shechem, which is Hamor, the king he's the head of the Hittites here. Shechem has found Dinah, and he's in love with her. He wants to marry her, and he's taken her, and actually she is with him, okay? And of course, the situation escalates real quick, and not going to get into all the details of that, but he wants to marry her. His brother or her brothers are not happy with this, and say, they're making a fool out of her, become folly. And anyway, and so the brothers devise a little plan, and so they want to trick them. And so when you're talking about here, Hamor, he goes, his son comes to him and says, I'll do whatever. I want to marry this one. I want to make it right. And anyway, and so he said, we'll find grace in your sight. We'll do whatever y'all want us to do. And then so anyway, the brothers talked with him, and they said, you know what? Let's be peaceful. Let's you marry our wives, and you can get wives from us, and we can get wives from you, and we can just live here in this land together. But we got to realize it's all a trick. It's all deception here. And instead of them thinking about living peacefully, it's like, no, we're going to trick you. So what they wanted to do, they wanted to talk all the men and say, well, if you're going to marry in with us, then you have to be like all of our men, and you have to go through the circumcision surgery. And so they said, well, I really want her as a wife, and I think our people want to marry some of your people. And so I tell you what, even though that's a little drastic little situation, we will have the surgery, and we will become like you. And of course the surgery pretty intense, and of course and then while the men are all healing, these two sons of Jacob, then they go and they slew and killed all the males that were around. Killed all of them. They couldn't fight. They took their sword and they killed them. They stole the sheep and the oxen, the donkeys. They stole the silver, their wealth. They spoiled the city. They spoiled the house. They just went in and ruined everything. They took the children, and they took their wives. And then that leads us into verse 30, when we're sitting here, and he's saying, Jacob is saying, it's distress. And right now, there's some things in the past that have been done, but right now, it's a little intense. Right now, it's a little scary right now. And it's kind of like, the guy went to the psychologist, and he says, I keep having these dreams, one night I'm a wigwam, and one night I'm a teepee. And he kept saying, a wigwam and a teepee. He said, yes. He said, well, I know exactly what's wrong with you. You're 2 tents. See, that's what it is. We're 2 tents. But anyway, his anxiety is high. Man, he's thinking, man, there's only a few of us. And man, this is escalated, and he's thinking, man, I'm hated. I'm going to stink in the land. The Hittites are coming after him. The Perizzites, man, all the ites, man, they coming after me. Cherubites, man, they're coming. They're great in number, and they're going to come and destroy us. So he's living in constant fear of attack, revenge, retaliation, and just some anxiousness on him, man. Sometimes in the Christmas time, man, we can get a little anxious. We can get a little nervous, it gets a little stressful right there. And then he ultimately just thinking, and sometimes we get like this, like I'm going to die. Somebody in my family is going to die. We're all going to die. That's what Jacob is thinking here. And so in Genesis 35, it's time to go back to the presence of God. And that's why, and let me just read Genesis 35:3 as we get to part 2 here of this situation. We must get up and we must go to Bethel. We got to find the house of God. We got to find the presence of God. And he says, and I will build an altar there to God who has answered me in every day, in every situation, all my distresses. He has been with me everywhere that I have gone. Now, sometimes we kind of leave, but let me tell you something. He is with us. He is here, and he's not going to leave us, and he's not going to forsake us. Let's go back to when life was a little more simple. Yes, Jesus came to this earth as a baby, but as him coming to a baby, he was preparing to live a perfect life. We can't live the perfect life, but he was going to sacrifice. God's Son has come so that we might have light, life, and glory of God in our life. So may you, this Christmas, as we look at part 2 here, let's go back to Christmas. God bless you, and thank you for listening.